Good evening, members of the school board. I want to thank you for having me here tonight to talk to you about dropout prevention within our school district, and specifically actions that we're taking at the high school to ensure that students graduate on time, our graduation rates go up, and conversely, our dropout rates go down. And before we get into this too far tonight, I wanted to take a minute to just kind of stress how important it is that students graduate. There are many consequences that are documented for students who don't. I want to share to you a really quick couple of sentences from this book, Dropout Prevention by Gose and Andren. And they really do a good job of highlighting why it's so important that we get our students to graduate from our schools. Dropping out of school is correlated with a host of negative outcomes, including higher rates of unemployment, lower earning, poor mental and physical health, higher rates of criminal behavior, and divorce. Individuals who don't graduate from school are more likely to use public assistance, rely on governmental health care, and be incarcerated, resulting in higher government expenditures. Simultaneously, lower individual earnings translate to substantially lower revenue for local, state, and federal government. Additionally, parents who did not complete high school are more likely to have children who will drop out of high school themselves, perpetuating this tragic cycle. So, as we look at dropout prevention, I think it's mostly important that we get those students through because of the individual success they can experience with a high school degree, but it's also a big problem facing our community. As the research shows there, the community is the one that's going to end up footing the bill for many of these dropouts because of the position that they're putting themselves in life. Right, so up here it says a graduation crisis, and I think after hearing that information from Gose and Andren, you can see why it's a crisis. It's not just a problem, it is truly a crisis that are facing students who make that decision to drop out of high school prior to earning their degree. This data comes to us from the 2016-17 school year. If we take a look on the left-hand side of the screen, we can see the statewide average, right? Underneath me is our Superior High School average. The title's covered up by my video screen right now. And what you'll notice if you look at that first blue bar on each of them is that the state graduation average is 89.2%, and we as a high school in Superior are falling behind the state. We're at 86.8%. And so we've clearly got some work cut out for us to improve those graduation rates. Right? But I would challenge you that even if we get our graduation rates up to the state average, we're still not meeting our school district's mission. Right? Our mission is to ensure that all students, not 89% or 95 or 97%, but all students have the knowledge and skills for living, learning, and working successfully. And what Gose and Anderson showed to us in that paragraph I read is that students who don't obtain a high school diploma are going to be at a significant disadvantage, and they're probably going to be lacking in many of those skills and knowledges that they need to live, learn, and work successfully post high school career. So what I'd like to do today is just take a little closer look at the graduation crisis with you. All right, we'll start off by looking at some background for the at-risk students, right? Seeing why is it students graduate? How are some ways that we can best support them? And then we'll look internally. We'll start off by looking at our school-wide support. What are we doing at the high school to support these at-risk students? Right? We know that our graduation rates aren't 100%, so what can we do to improve it? And then finally, we'll take a look at the classroom level. I've got a lesson that I'd like to share with you that will hopefully give you some insight into how we can design lessons that will hook in those at-risk students, that will draw in the general population, and hopefully reduce the risk of students dropping out and improve general student achievement. Okay. So as we take a look at what the research says, this first quote, which again I'm kind of hiding part of, really jumped out at me. I'll read it since it's halfway hidden. Dropping out of school is a process of disengagement that often begins early in the pre-kindergarten to elementary school years. Now, this one really spoke to me. It's not like students are doing good one day in 11th grade and wake up the next day and say, I'm going to drop out. It's a process of engagement that a lot of times at the high school has been going on for maybe 10 plus years. Right? Research says that students begin this process of disengagement with school oftentimes as early as kindergarten, sometimes before they even get into school. Right, so as a high school, we've got our work cut out for us because some have been involved in this process and they've been going down that path towards dropping out for oftentimes 10 plus years when they get to us. So before we look at the solution to this problem, let's just take a little closer look at some different factors that influence students' decision to drop out. Now, had I took the time to poll the room today on why students drop out, my guess would be a lot of you would have hit on the upper left hand, here's our left hand side corner here, some individual factors, right? You may have said students lack the academic skills to follow along with the lessons to achieve at those high levels in high school. And you'd be right. You may have said students have behavior issues that were never addressed or never fully solved at the early years. And again, you would be right. There's other demographics too that play in there. Research says that students of minority, students of poor socioeconomic backgrounds are less likely to graduate from school. Right? Family factors may have been another one that you were aware of before today. Right? I just read to you that students whose parents didn't graduate from high school are less likely themselves to graduate from high school. Right? You may have said maybe just the way their family is structured. Perhaps they come from a broken home, or perhaps they're in the foster care system. And their parents really don't have time to concentrate on schooling as much as they should. That could increase the likelihood of dropping out. Okay? It's not just individuals and their family, though, that influence the dropout factor. It's also community and schools, right? School climate often plays a big role. Is the school a positive or a negative place? Is it a place students want to be or a place students don't look forward to going? Okay. Oftentimes, discipline policies, without giving much thought to it, are structured in a way that don't teach students the skills they need to improve behaviors, but punish them, oftentimes academically, for their poor behavior. Right? Just perpetuating poor problem and leading them further down that path of disengagement. The relationships built between teachers is also a big key in influencing the dropout. Right? If students see teachers as the enemy, not their partners in education, and again, they're going to disengage, they're going to say, this isn't a place I want to be, and they're probably not going to make it to that timely graduation. Right? And our community also plays a role in there. We've got many resources within our community. We need to make sure that they're embedded within the school. Right? Likewise, as a school, we need to reach out to the community and say, what can we do to help you? I think students will see this connection and it'll be positive to them. They'll want to continue in school because of the community involvement. They can see how their school career directly relates to a possible career or job within their community. Right? And we can also rely on the community to be positive peer role models and give students groups that they can belong to within the community. Right? And this can work both ways. It could be a positive group, it could be a negative group. So looking at all those reasons students disengage, it can kind of be disheartening. There's lots of reasons. As I've said, by the time they reach the high school, they've been in the school system for 9, 10 years, most of them, and there may be tons of disengaging things that have happened to them. Right? But the good news is for every disengagement factor, we can create an opportunity to engage that student and we can draw them deeper into school and we can make it a place they want to be and we can make graduation an obtainable goal for them. So here's what research recommends for high school students. These are some practical interventions that can be applied at high school and are going to really move those students towards a timely graduation. Right? For the student, we want to have a multi-tiered intervention based on students' needs and best teaching practices in place. For a lot of schools, this will take the form of some sort of RTI, where we're looking at that pyramid where we've got 3 groups of students, right, going up to the ones with the highest needs at the top. Right? We can draw families into our school by providing opportunities for positive interactions. We can provide opportunities for families to get involved in the school. If the family sees the school as a good place to be and they want to be involved there, oftentimes that'll translate into the students seeing the school as a good place to be and wanting to be involved there as well. All right. Now, positive climate, that goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about. We want our school to be a place people want to be. We want our school to be a place that's got clearly defined high expectations for students, both behaviorally and academically. And we want opportunities for students to build relationships with our staff. Within the community, we can also provide opportunities for positive interactions and community involvement in the form of becoming role models within our school. Right, what does this mean for SHS? We'll get into that in the second half of this video.